Hi, I am Jean Johnny Finley from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a retail store manager and personal development coach. There is no time like the present to do it for the future. Let's do this for tomorrow. Get vaccinated. Be a champion, be a hero. I got vaccinated to protect myself, my family, co-workers, and my customers, and as my civic duty. Together, we can achieve. Let's do this for tomorrow.
This evening on the VC3 News Update, consortium of banks to acquire CIBC First Caribbean in 4 OECS countries, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force awards 71 scholarships to successful CPEA students. And the government of SVG and the United Kingdom signs air services agreement ahead of Virgin Atlantic's inaugural flight. Join us at 7 p.m. for these stories and more on the VC3 News Update.
Welcome to this week's edition of Roundtable Talk. This evening we are talking education recovery, and we have in the studio a parent, Mr. DYER, NKURU. That's in your name?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We also have from the Ministry of Education, EDMIRA Walker, SEMONIQUE Harry, and Marsha Morris. I'm going to start by asking each of the panelists to say what they do, who they are, and then we'll continue with the discussion, starting with Ms. Walker.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Hello, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. My name is EDMIRA Walker, and I am a language officer in the Ministry of Education. I work primarily with lower grades teachers from grades K to 3 in giving them support. I am also the focal point of the Academic Recovery Program, a program that is sponsored by the OECS. And I'm happy to be with you tonight to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Harry?
Good evening, everyone. My name is SEMONIQUE Harry, and I am the ICT integrator in the Ministry of Education. I'm responsible for training of teachers in areas of ICT, gamification. Along that line, I train teachers from grade K right up to Form 5. Thank you for having me.
And Ms. Morris.
Good evening, everyone. I'm MARSHA-ANN Morris. I work at the CAMPDEN Park Technical Institute as the counselor there. I'm also the president of the Schools Guidance Counselors Association, and I'm happy to be here with you this evening.
Okay, and our lone parent.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is NKURU DYER. Most people would know me before as Conroy DYER, but I've taken a step to change that name, and I no longer use Conroy, I use NKURU. I am here in the capacity of a parent, but I have worked and continue to work in the Ministry of Education for quite a number of years. So, thank you.
Okay, so everyone in St. Vincent and the Grenadines would realize by now that a lot of learning has been lost due to, of course, COVID-19 and the eruption of La Soufrière volcano earlier on in the year. Now, the Ministry of Education has started a 2-year recovery program, and we'll talk more about that this evening on this evening's program. I'll first of all ask Ms. Walker to discuss with us the background to the development of this particular program.
Well, program came as a result of our COVID-19 and also the volcanic eruption. We thought it best to look at ways of helping our students to regain the learning that was lost, all right? So the Ministry of Education began implementing this 2-year program, and we have many aspects to it. We have the musical part, we have numeracy and literacy, we have the psychosocial part, and we also look at ICT. So there are many aspects to the academic recovery program, and the goal of it is to provide opportunities for students to recover knowledge and skills lost due to the school closure, which we know happened from March of 2020 to July, and then again from January 2021 to present. And so we are hoping that during this time and during this program, that all our students will gain the necessary skills that they would need, to continue their education. Thank you.
Okay, so what sort of skills are we talking about in particular?
Okay, so we did our diagnostic testing in the beginning of, I think, the 19th of May. We did it in diagnostic, reading. We did in language arts and also in mathematics. And what we discovered is that a lot of our students are behind for various reasons. And so we need to equip our teachers with these strategies, first of all, that they need to help these students to get to the place where they should be. We work with a spiral curriculum, and it therefore means that there has to be certain prerequisite skills that students need. For example, in grade K, before students will move up to the grade 1 level, they are expected to know letter sounds, letter names, and so forth. And some of this is missing for these early grades. The readiness skills are just not there. So teachers now has the responsibility to help the students to gain these necessary skills so that they can move on to the next level.
Well, apart from the obvious, you did mention that students are behind for various reasons. But what are exactly some of the reasons that the children, why the children are behind? And I think I'll ask Marsha Morris to answer that.
Yes, so as Mrs. Walker said, there are several reasons that students can lag behind. They can lack the particular skills that they're required to have, and that could be as a result of not being taught, not being exposed, or the teacher lacking the strategy to implement that skill to help them. There are also, of course, social factors. The whole issue of poverty sometimes can play a part, where students are unable to access the learning the way we would prefer them to access the learning. And some of those things play a major part, not just in their physical access to resources, but also in their health and well-being to perform the given task.
Okay. Mr. Dyer, you are a single parent.
Yes, I am.
How has your child or children been affected by this loss of learning, the pandemic, and what have you noticed?
Well, overall, I think, but nationally, it has affected everyone in a particular way. But myself, where my daughter is concerned, not, well, first of all, not being able to to communicate and socialize with the persons in a class, in a group. I think psychologically that has affected her in one way, and I'm sure I have also heard from a number of some of the other students that they themselves feel a bit withdrawn, you know. I think Miss Morris had mentioned just now about the devices and some of the problems that we have been getting with linking or logging into the system. That has been quite challenging. Some persons have a difficult time getting in. My daughter in particular, she also faced quite a number of issues when logging in or being connected was necessary, you know. And but we've been coping the best we can.
What kind of support do you think that she needs to catch up, as we want to say?
Well, I would definitely say the support from my side, from where I stand, from where I think, from a parental aspect could play a major role, you know, where the parents step in whatever form or fashion and influence or buttress the youths in their movement forward.
Okay, we'll take a first break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the online learning and the importance of technology at this particular time. Back in just a moment.
This evening on the VC3 News Update, consortium of banks to acquire CIBC First Caribbean in 4 OACS countries, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force awards 71 scholarships to successful CPEA students. And the government of SVG and the United Kingdom signs air services agreements ahead of Virgin Atlantic's inaugural flight. Join us at 7 p.m. for these stories and more on the VC3 News Update.
Hello and hi.
Hello everyone, I am Shakel Bob. I am a former Miss Pitani, a former Miss Rural SVG and Miss SVG contestant and runner-up. I'm a lawyer by profession but a pageant lover at heart. Do not let the negatives prey on your mind, because a stitch in time saves 9. So, it's COVID vaccination time. Get vaccinated today to reduce the impact of COVID-19 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And I urge you, get vaccinated. It is safe and it is effective. Stop the spread, help the fight, and make the choice that is right. And let us unite and do the thing right.
welcome back. And just to remind you that you are viewing a roundtable talk for today, Wednesday 13, 2021. And you can make your contribution, ask questions of the panel, and your comments as well on our Facebook and our YouTube pages. I want to move now to the importance or the role of online learning, which really is the goal right now, is the trend, online learning. And Ms. Harry, I think I'll bring you in here on the importance of online learning and that of technology as well in these times.
Yes. We were thrown, like many other places in the world, into online classroom last March. And may I say, just like many countries in the world, we were not really prepared for what online teaching and online learning should look like. Since then, the Ministry of Education has partnered with organizations such as UNESCO, Commonwealth of Learning, to ensure that teachers are equipped with the necessary skills in providing content in a blended and an online classroom. So we are offering teachers the opportunity to get that training, to build their skills in delivering content, delivering and designing assessment for online classroom. Online classroom is different from a face-to-face. We cannot take the exact same lesson plan, for instance, and apply it in our online classrooms. We must amend, and we must do that in order to keep our students engaged. We refer to our students as digital natives. Yes, they may be quick to enter into your cell phone, to go on YouTube, but in actual integration of technology for educational purposes, they are now learning how to do that. And that is where our teachers are being trained to give that type of support to teachers and ensure that our students are engaged and they are motivated, and that we can lessen that gap where we have the deficiencies with the skills that they should have at the end of this academic year.
Talk to me about some of the challenges that you face relative to online learning.
Challenges. So the first one I spoke about briefly was teacher skills and their capacity to teach online, and which we are presently addressing. We also have the issue of our bandwidth, and that comes from our telecommunication companies that provides us with the internet service. That has caused the issue when we have maybe 15,000 persons logging on at the same time in the morning. And so to eradicate that, we are asking for staggered times. We have introduced the concept of synchronous and asynchronous teaching to teachers, and that itself is going to help with that bandwidth issue, where teachers will say they're knocked out of classes, students cannot log on, or the video is frozen, the audio is not coming through. So that is one of our issues. Another one that we have is definitely in some areas, the parental support. We know it's difficult. Parents have to go to work. The one may be home to see the children. Maybe it's an older sibling. Maybe it's an auntie, it's a granny. But there are times when I will get called at the office. Ms. Harry, is there class going on for this particular grade? I check the system, yes. And I'm being told, oh, but my son or my daughter is not logging in, or they're saying that the teachers are not there. We are trying to find ways to work with the parents. We have a support system where some of them will contact their teachers. The teachers will then contact us to check to see if there is an internet issue, if there is an electrical outage. Like, for instance, today in some parts of the island, there were electrical outages, and that prevented live classes from occurring. Now, we can't control that, and teachers are asked to deal with that. Teachers are then asked to check the outages as prescribed by VINLET so that they can schedule their classes accordingly, so that we don't have a live class and then, oops, no electricity. So we have teacher skills, we have the bandwidth issue, We also have the parental support. We have the outages. And yes, we do have the issue of devices. Not all of our students have devices at the moment. The Ministry of Education is in the process of ensuring that grades K to 2 actually will get devices. That is in works, and as soon as they become available, students will get them. However, as I talk about that, I must urge parents that if your child has been issued a device, please let the child use the device. It is not yours. And that was one of the concerns we have in the last shipment or batch that we shared out. We saw a lot of devices in Kingstown or in locations when students should be having them and should be on class. So we continue to plead with parents, allow your students to use the devices at their allotted time. There's a particular timetable. Schools know, parents have been informed of the timetable. It's not an entire day that students are online. Allow the students to use their devices. It has been issued to them for educational purposes, not for parental use. So those are the major ones that we are encountering thus far. I don't know if anybody else on the panel would like to contribute.
Yes, other members of the panel, do you have any stories or experiences to relate in this respect? No?
Well, I can just, yes, I would like to speak to maybe how not being able to get online, how it has affected what the teachers have done at school, maybe with the diagnostic testing, right? Now, that testing was done and the results were analyzed and everything like that. And we presented the statistics to the teachers, right? And many of them felt away that the results in their mind wasn't as good. We had to remind them though, but that a diagnostic test is to see where the students are and to move them from where they are. I just want to say that we encountered problems with that because, or the results was somehow the way it was because there were lots of students who never came to class online. But on the day of testing, somehow parents love testing. So on the day of testing, these same students showed up for class. There were some who came to class because a poll was done and all the data was collected. Some students came to class maybe twice a week, some, rarely, and just intermittently for others, while there were others who were always there. So the result was significantly different than other years because of these problems that we had with the online. All right, so I just want to make that note that happened this year. And when we look at the results, we know for sure that it's, Miss Morris mentioned a while ago that it could be the fault of the teacher or different problems. Well, we are saying in particular, although many, a lot of teachers are doing bending over backwards and doing what they're supposed to do, there are a few teachers in the system who, are always laid back. But we can say for sure that we know that these problems that we had with the results this year is a result of all of what Ms. Harry just mentioned and what I just mentioned about them not being able to go online, some not showing up on all of this. So we just want to rest the teachers, let the teachers rest knowing that where the students are at, that is where we are to move them from. And don't be so worried about what the results were, but to move the students from where they are now and take them to where they should be.
Okay. Tell us what a typical online learning day is like. It begins at what time and what happens? As a parent, explain the process to me. Ms. Harry, you're free to take this one.
Okay, so in the primary school, we ask that you have 2 hours of synchronous or live classes. So usually what we have seen, the trend is that classes begin at 9 a.m. Schools develop their timetable, they send it through for approval, through the SEOs or through the EO who is assigned, the education officer who is assigned. So we go through that type of process and we give support and suggestions. For primary school, we actually 2 hours that can be broken up throughout the entire school day. Some schools, however, at the moment are having them close knit where they're having a 9 to perhaps a 9:30, a 5-minute screen break. Screen breaks are important. Whether it's a scavenger hunt, whether it's get up and go and have a glass of water, use the washroom and return. Then you begin again, maybe at 9:40, 9:45 for another session. You will have your recess, as we normally call it, or snack time. Then we will go again for a couple, whether maybe it's 2 sessions or 3 sessions, depending on the age and the grades of the students. And from then, the teacher will then break. What we have been seeing is that the younger students, they will normally break around 12:30, 1 o'clock. And the older students in the primary school will tend to go a little bit past about 1:30 with their staggered live or synchronous courses. Teachers have been advised that in between screen times, they can assign asynchronous work such as tutorials to look at, videos, images, or discussion posts, depending on the age and the grades of the students. At the secondary level, we have recommended 3 hours of live or synchronous sessions that can be staggered again or broken up across the 9 a.m. to a 2:30 end time. Depending on the school and depending on some of the subjects, so some of our schools do a wide number of subject areas. They may go just about past 3 with a blend of synchronous and asynchronous sessions in the school day. So primary school may end about 12:30 to 1:30 at the moment, and the secondary schools may end about 2:30 to 3 o'clock at this time. We are in the process of making sure, or what should I say, editing or giving support to schools who may need to adjust their timetable a little bit to prevent tiredness, dry eyes, and to prevent the students from just being demotivated, being in front of that screen all day long. Because as I said previously, face-to-face teaching is not like online teaching. Our headaches, our eyes, not everybody have blue lens in their glasses or filters on their devices. So the scattered day, 9 to 1:30 or 9 to 2:30 or 3 o'clock, depending on the level.
Okay, we'll come back in just a moment.
John, the 2019 Vinci Ragasoka Monarch. I took the COVID-19 vaccine, and so should you. Let's be an example to others. Get vaccinated today and help control the spread of COVID-19.
Vaccinate if you want to eliminate the spread of the virus in our place, and do not procrastinate, but rather let us vaccinate. Get vaccinated today.
This evening on the VC3 News Update, consortium of banks to acquire CIBC First Caribbean in 4 OACS countries, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force awards 71 scholarships to successful CPEA students. And the government of SVG and the United Kingdom signs air services agreements ahead of Virgin Atlantic's inaugural flight. Join us at 7 p.m. for these stories and more on the VC3 News Update.
Back before we get back into the discussion, there are some comments and questions. The first is somebody saying that the Ministry of Education should disable all other apps on the students' tablets. It should only be used for online classes. Any response to that, panel?
While I understand that we should disable the apps, we have also placed an app there for parental support on all devices. And when parents collect it, they should have been instructed as well to enable the supervision app, where if a student downloads any app that is not educational or that you as a parent do not permit, you can get a notification to do such, to deny or to approve of the app or the website that the child has. It is on the devices. Perhaps what happens, some of the older students, when they receive the devices with their parents, they were just given the devices. And yes, some of them may have deleted that app unbeknown to some parents, but I do know that a number of parents have enabled the supervision apps that was placed on the device so that they can monitor and manage the students' use of their device. I have heard the concern, but there was an app there that parents could have used to help us in that area. Some of the apps that are also on the devices are needed for educational purposes, such as the Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Flipgrid. And believe it or not, parents, some of these same games that are on the devices that were there, they are for educational use. And many of our teachers are using them at the moment.
Okay, a question. An agreement was signed. Read the tablets each student received. Have these signed agreements be enforced when the damage to the tablets are the fault of the parents?
In terms of the damage, the fault of the parents are the ones responsible for replacing the device at the moment. We do have a team at the reprographics department. If there's a little glitch or perhaps it may need a bit of updating and a parent may not know exactly how to do that, we give support there at that department in updating the devices. We also, on our CDU, SVG, CDU.org website, we also provide tutorials there of how parents can give updates and if anything happened to the devices, a lot of troubleshooting directions of what they can do. But in terms of perhaps a damaged screen, a damaged port, the parent is responsible for that.
Okay. Another question. Online classes are just as if face-to-face in a physical setting is being held. Is a register of attendance for both teachers and students kept? And if not, why? If yes, what is being done to fix this level of truancy? I don't know if, yeah.
I will address that and perhaps somebody else.
Yes, I think.
On the platform that's being used, I can speak directly to the MS Teams platform where all but one primary school is a part of. And MS Teams is also a part of secondary schools with the exceptions of the Catholic schools, North Union, Bethel High, Emmanuel, Mesco, which they're on a different platform. On MS Teams, there is an analytic system that records the attendance and every digital activity of the child and of the teacher on the platform. And it is recorded, and when need be, teachers can simply export to Excel, submit as they normally do weekly, their attendance to their HODs or their principals which then is returned as monthly returns. The matter is then taken to the SEOs, and in situations of truancy, there are truancy officers in the Ministry of Education who I know have gone to persons' homes. He has, one of them have left town and have gone all the way down to Chateau looking for students, taking students out of shops, taking students out of from off the block, talking to them, actually even guiding some of them back into their classroom. So there are mechanisms in place. The attendance is being taken. The schools have their protocols in how they deliver that from teacher to principal or HOD to the Ministry of Education, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly.
Okay, Ms. Walker, have anything to add to that? Or Ms. Morris?
I think just being, as we shared, being in an online forum is quite difficult and challenging for a lot of parents and the children, as we've said. And so I think it brings to bear on the fact that parents need to be parenting differently. Even in this season, supervision, as we said, is key. It is a challenge because they need to go out to work. They have to go out to work, and the child is expected to stay at home and be online. So it's really perplexing on every side. But I think this is where relationship is so important in how you communicate with your child, and you express expectations to the child, age appropriately, of course. Letting them understand the importance of school, and you as a parent checking in ever so often to ensure that they're doing what is required and asking for assistance where that may be needed, and just showing the child that by you valuing school and education, that they also need to do the same. Not just telling them to make sure you do the thing, but also to sit with them when you get home, talk about how the day was, what were the challenges. Oh boy, you didn't get to go online today, or I'm sure you're disappointed. So you show them that this is important for you and for them, and so you help them to make that connection. It's also very challenging for students who learn best in groups, because they love that camaraderie. They love to have their friends together, and that motivates them and encourages them to do their work. And so when we're in an online space, it's not quite the same. Now, thankfully, there are options of breakout rooms and that sort of thing that can, kind of assist in that way. But, we know the realities, especially for the younger children. There is nothing that can compare to that in person, that presence, that, touch, that space there. So we have to just work and be motivated in such a more critical way to ensure that they, appreciate what is happening, that they can rise above the challenges. And this is part of just social development and building, because as you go through life, there will always be challenges at every stage and season of your life. And so even teaching your children how to navigate these challenges. Boy, we just had, the volcanic eruption, and it really split us up, and we can't be in touch with our friends the way we want to be, and so on. So you validate those concerns that they have, but you also help them and teach them how to overcome those things. And so that would help in their learning, because they will be more attuned to what's happening. They'll understand the importance of it, and it will help them outside of school, just generally in life, how to accept things that are out of their control, but to manage and to have perspective and to, work past those challenges.
Okay.
I also would like to add something, if I may.
Certainly.
Now, the Ministry of Education is always looking for ways of reaching, whether it be teachers, parents, students and helping. So one of the components of the academic recovery program is parental involvement, and also we have community engagement. And this is where we really need communities. We need communities to help us with this. Sometimes when we speak, we talk of the ideal parents, you know. We have a parent in studio today, and he may be one of those who is really helping his child, going out and, you know, doing what is necessary. We have a lot of parents out there who do not care. We also have a lot of them who care, but they do not know how. You know, so the ministry is always looking for another way. How do we reach these parents? What do we do? So right now we are thinking about zonal PTA meetings, like virtually, where we can meet with parents from different zones and just talk to them. How can we help? What are the problems that you have been experiencing? We also are thinking about those parents who would never come to a Zoom meeting. They don't know how to use a device and so forth. What do we do for these parents? We are even thinking about going on a truck and, you know, talking about parents and how to get involved. And, you know, somebody in the mountain reading their dasheen, somebody on the roadside at the shop will hear about it. You know, somebody in the river washing, they can listen to what we are saying. So we are looking for ways of reaching parents, because we do not just have the ideal parents who would buy the textbook and who will sit down behind the child and help. We have the parents who would say, hey, you're not getting my cell phone. We have these two. So we have to educate them at every level. And day by day at the ministry, we look for different ways of reaching everyone.
Great. We'll take our final break and come back in a short moment.
I'm Jean Johnny Finley from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a retail store manager and personal development coach. There is no time like the present to do it for the future. Let's do this for tomorrow. Get vaccinated. Be a champion, be a hero. I got vaccinated to protect myself, my family, co-workers, and my customers, and as my civic duty. Together, we can achieve. Let's do this for tomorrow.
Read, learn, grow. The children are the future. Help them read, learn, grow. Only reading is the key, so help them read, learn, grow. Let's show them how much fun it is to read, learn, grow. So parents, you play a part. First and foremost, reading from so young is advantageous. Link with the teachers, working hand in hand is a must. Just 10 minutes of your child reading to you is a plus. Get fun books, make reading priority. When children read, they are able to learn, and the more they learn, the more they grow. So parents help the kids read, learn, grow. Reading is fun, kids have to know. Read, learn, grow. The children are the future. Help them read, learn, grow. So parents, you play a part. This message is brought to you by the OECS USAID Early Learners Program, funded by United States Agency for International Development. For more information, log on to www.oecs.org/ELP.
This evening on the VC3 News Update, consortium of banks to acquire CIBC First Caribbean in 4 OECS countries, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force awards 71 scholarships to successful CPEA students. And the government of SVG and the United Kingdom signs air services agreements ahead of Virgin Atlantic's inaugural flight. Join us at 7 p.m. for these stories and more on the VC3 News Update.
some questions to start off this segment. Over 50% of parents are not computer literate. What is the ministry doing to correct this major shortcoming if online learning is to truly benefit the nation? Who would like to take that?
I'll take that one. One of the ways that the ministry seemed wish to combat that is actually by offering a skills to work program through the Commonwealth of Learning. We are actually in our second cohort. It was advertised on Facebook, on our social media pages, on our website, where parents could actually take up courses where they can learn at a beginning stage of how they can provide support to their students, to their child in the online classes. There are thousands and thousands of courses, not just on the educational part of technology, but them themselves learning a skill when it comes to how to create a Word document so that they can assist the child in preparing their book report, how to put together a PowerPoint, and so forth. We offered that program from March to October. It was open where you can select any course. It was free, and you would have gotten a certificate from Coursera, Google, or Udemy if you decided that you wanted to learn that. The second cohort will begin on Friday, and that's a 6-month training. And within that 6 months, you could do as many courses that you wish to when it comes to learning productivity tool, how to assist my child, how to help my child who may be dyslexic, who may be exhibiting autism, who may be exhibiting dysgraphia with handwriting, how I as a parent can learn a skill to support. Unfortunately, many persons did not sign up for the course. I'm going to try and see for next year again that I can get another partnership through the Ministry of Education, Commonwealth of Learning, that more parents will sign up for these courses. Another way that we are combating it, and it's not necessarily at a ministerial level, but it's at a school level. Some schools are actually having little workshops for their parents in helping them to understand what the child is supposed to do, how the child is supposed to navigate the platform. Tutorials are placed on our CDU website, video tutorials as well as PDFs, so that both parents and teachers and even the child can learn little ways of navigating on the platform. So I hope by this medium that parents, teachers, students, the older ones perhaps, will take the initiative and get enrolled in one of the free programs, get enrolled in watch one of the tutorials, or look at one of the PDFs that gives that type of support for you. Or attend one of your school's PTA. Many parents have been coming to the ministry, and before the onset of the heavy COVID breakout, I would give support to parents, a 15-minute here, 20-minute there, a half an hour here, just on little snippets of how to do it. So they can reach out, and let's see how we can go to those parents who are really struggling.
Okay. And someone else is suggesting that the ministry take a look at the students who are not logging on for classes. They should have them meet at the library or at the school in their own community requesting volunteers. I'm sure that SVG has several young graduates who are not working. They can be given a few dollars a month for their computer skills at least. So that's a suggestion. I wanted to ask the parent on the panel, how are you parenting differently in these challenging times, the different times? How are you parent? What is different about your parenting?
Okay, well, Teresa, I can't. I must emphasize where support is concerned, parental support and parental guidance. I always encourage Zaya, my daughter, to be a part of, get involved. Although it's a bit challenging sometimes with the logging in, I encourage her to always be in tune. Sometimes it might be a little challenging because I might have to move, I might have to go somewhere. And in a situation like that, I would have her go to a relative, her granddad, where she can access and continue her class. There was a situation at one time where the device was not working, it had stopped. And so we had to go to the library, the National Library, on a daily basis, just to ensure that she can get, connected and be part of the sessions. And we always revise. One of the young ladies there mentioned revision, talking about the day, the class, regardless to if you are on or not, but revise what happened and talk about the day and, contribution that she would have made. There's a lot of homework as well that's being distributed. So I play a part in helping and working along with that as well. It can be challenging, but even I myself do some additional work to upgrade my technological skills. I'm working along that as well.
Okay. How are the needs of the special education sector being addressed through this recovery program?
Okay, so that the teacher support. So we continue to train. On the 22nd, 23rd of September, we had professional development session for all teachers K-3, and this includes the special education teachers. We are embarking on, at the moment we're procuring materials or resources for the special needs schools, like Braille machine and talking calculators, and all the resources that would be needed to enhance the students' learning, and also to help the teachers to make teaching and learning a little easier. We are really happy to have these special needs on board. We think that, it cannot be overemphasized, the amount of help that the special needs always needs, and we are very happy that we can partner with them as well in the academic recovery program. So we are providing resources for them. We are giving support. Come November, we are the ministry, the officers in the ministry, we will be visiting the teachers, whether online or offline, but there will be visits where we will look at the skills that the teachers need. They will look at their lessons, reflect on them. We will give them strategies. It's kind of a on-the-job training, what they need at that very moment. So we're going to be talking with them, and very soon we will have a meeting with the special needs teachers by themselves and the principals of those schools, where we can talk more about exactly what help is needed and what support they need. So we are very happy to be on board with the special needs for this particular time. Also, in that, I just want to add, in that program, we did gamification with Miss Harry. We did some training, and the special needs teachers were part of that as well, because although there will be modifications to games and so forth that they will do, they are expected to do and follow the same curriculum, but there are modifications to what they will do in the classroom for their students.
Okay, as we wind down towards the end of the program, what is necessary to ensure that this recovery plan is a successful one?
Oh, what is necessary? We need all hands on deck. The Ministry of Education needs to do their part. We are working feverishly, trying to get the programs, the school, the right people in place with the right skill set that will meet the needs and to bring this program to success. We need the help of the counselor who's here and all the other counselors to do their part. We know that I must tip my hat off to teachers who are displaced from their homes, but they continue to teach, very resilient. Students also who are displaced, they have to still be in the classroom, and it was a very rough time. But we need them as well. We need the parental support. The teachers really need to do the work. Teachers, a lot lie with the teachers, and a lot of them are doing the work, but some of them are a little bit laid back because they are not like tech savvy, as we would say. But teachers need to get with the times. There are courses that are offered, and for those who are still lagging behind, they need to get with the times little by little, and there needs to be a lot more networking. Now, if I'm at a school and I do not have that skill set, and there's another teacher who has that, or not even at my school, but another school, we need to have a lot more networking in not just the Ministry of Education, but St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I would like to say, this is not just a Ministry of Education program, but we are depending on St. Vincent and the Grenadines if we are supposed to make it. We need all partners on board with us. The community, when there is a child who is not logged on for some reason or the other, they do not have internet. What is their neighbor doing about it? You know, when we do not have money to pay a truck to do whistle stop, but there are many trucks in St. Vincent and Grenadines, and somebody can just say, oh, use my truck because this is a very good initiative. And this is not just for the ministry. A lot of people would say, what is the ministry doing? But it's time that we move away from the, segmenting, and we work together as one unit so that we can move this place called St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And that's a perfect note on which to end this week's edition of Roundtable Talk. Thank you so very much to you, EDMIRA Walker, SEMONIQUE Harry, Marsha Morris, and of course, NKURU DYER. I hope I got that new name right. Thank you very much, and see you again next week, Wednesday, when we